hot August night at Indianapolis, Indiana. It's NASCAR Busch Series racing presented by Midas on TNT under the yellow flag at lap 89 after the Sauter brothers +1 crashed up in turn number 1.
Let's try to talk to Greg Biffle, who's currently running in the 4th position. Greg Biffle, Benny Parsons, you got me?
I got you, Benny.
All right, tell us about your car.
Well, it's not bad. It's pretty decent in. It's a little bit tight, late center, right when I want to go back to the gas. But right here, I got to wait a second on it. It's hard to push the gas down. We made a tire pressure adjustment, but it didn't help it enough. But I got to go the rest of the way in these tires, so I think I'm just going to ride here for a while.
Well, all right. A lot of debris down turn 1. Be careful. Green flag next lap.
Got you, BP.
Greg Biffle running 4th. Championship leader in the NASCAR Busch Series, up on Jason Keller by 77 points coming into tonight's race. Our Wendy's race menu. What's coming up as we follow NASCAR on TNT and NBC? Brickyard 400 tomorrow, coverage starting at 2 Eastern time. Tony Stewart, right here between me and BP, will lead the field of the green flag after winning the Bud Bowl today. And our late night encore Monday night at 1 a.m. Eastern and Pacific of the Brickyard on TNT. And so you can go back home and watch it. Drive you through Wendy's, get your frosty late night, and sit down and watch the replay, okay?
Sounds good to me.
You stay up late that night, late at night.
Ready. Ready. Green flag, green flag. Keep coming.
Jamie McMurray, Ron Hornaday, Scott Riggs, Greg Biffle, and Jason Keller, the top 5. Here goes Hornaday to the low side of McMurray for the lead.
But Jamie gets that great run off turn 2. Here comes Hornaday again on the bottom slide job. Oh, yeah. Man, that looked like an open wheel slide job, didn't it, Tony?
Yeah, but I can promise you, I've watched Ron Hornaday enough, too. He's not scared to do that. He'll make you use both pedals in the car, the gas and the brake.
4th different leader tonight. Hornaday back out in front for the first time. Biffle has led 42 laps. Jason Keller 22. Jamie McMurray 27. Now Hornaday has taken over the top spot just shy of halfway.
And Greg Biffle just told us when we were talking to him that he had to make these tires go the rest of the way. They're not planning on stopping anymore, so he was planning on trying to save those tires as best he could.
Second place, Scott Riggs on the move in the 10. McMurray's got 33 more laps on his tires than these other guys he's racing with.
All right, Scott Riggs makes the pass, looks like. Now, is Biffle going to try on the bottom side as well? Doesn't have much choice.
Here comes Riggs looking inside of Hornaday. Bid for the lead, turn 1. See if he puts the slide job on him.
No, because he has not raced that much of this. Hey, Biffle's trying to go on the outside of McMurray. Oh, yeah. And Scott Riggs takes the lead in that 10 car.
Ooh, McMurray slides up in front of Keller.
But he moves back down just in time so they don't make contact off the corner.
And ahead of them, you see Biffle trying Hornaday for second. Intensity's picked up here a little bit as we get close to halfway.
Here goes Greg Biffle on the inside of Hornaday for second. Easily goes by. But again, has much fresher tires than Hornaday does in that 26 car.
Now Keller to look for second, and John Wood in that bright green number 9. What a great run.
I'm real impressed. We've watched him the whole race, and I don't think I've ever seen that car even twitch the whole time we've watched him.
Got a good car. I mean, that's good equipment that he's in. There's no question. That's a Roush racing machine. Brad Parrott is his crew chief, but he's also doing a great job with it.
You can have the best car on the racetrack, but you still have to push the pedals. You still have to use the steering wheel properly, and he's just being very, very smooth right now and taking care of his equipment.
Let's check back with Glenn.
Well, guys, I've caught up with Tim Sauter. This, unfortunately, is what a brand-new race car looks like when you bring it to IRP for a Saturday night race fest, crash fest, whatever you want to call it. Tim, tough break, man. I know they built you a new car. You were running really well. What happened out there?
Well, we had a really good car. It looked like Jay was having a little trouble. And I got up on the outside of him, and then he took off again. 46 car was on the outside of me. I tried getting out of there, hooked the 21, and turned him into the 46, and went on with him.
I'm sorry about your bad luck. Are you going to be able to get back in?
We're going to work on it, see what we can do.
Very frustrated Tim Sauter. Had the best chance of a top 5 finish that he's had this year, guys, and now it went up in smoke.
This is back with Tim's brother Johnny in that 2 car. He's racing Mike McLaughlin in the 18 for 8th, and Scott Wimmer in the 23. He's also involved in that fight.
Johnny started in 19. Did he run an ASA race year before?
Yeah, he led 190 of the 200 laps in that race. That was his 10th win of a 10-win championship season a year ago. His brother Tim finished second in that race, by the way. The Tim that we just talked to, whose car's all torn up here tonight. A little farther back. Ricky Hendrick in the 5 and 11. And then the 33 and the 59, Tony Raines and Stacy Compton, along with Todd Bodine. Remember, right at the start, Todd got spun around. He's picking his way back through the field. He's in 14th.
And watching the battle for 12th and 13th.
There's Jack Sprague.
The Net Zero Chevrolet on board with him as he watches all this going on, trying to figure out how he's going to get by the Excedrin car of Todd Bodine. Jim back off that throttle off turn 2.
And it looked like it just got tight. It didn't really didn't see a lot of movement in the steering wheel, but you get tight here, you have to check up. You really push up off the corners pretty hard here.
If you don't, you're going to walk.
Exactly.
Jamie McMurray in that 27, continuing to slip back a little bit. Here comes Kenny Wallace working on him for 6th.
I tell you, you got to watch Herman here. I mean, Herman's a sleeper here. He's always run good in the Busch Series here. And he'll always just sneak up on you. He won't be one of those guys that in the first 100 laps will be out there leading the majority of the laps, but he'll always be sneaking around the top 5, top 10, and work his way to the front.
But you know, unfortunately, Tony, the story of Kenny Wallace's season is he's run very steadily from 6th to 12th or 13th place. They both, you know, he's got his best finish of the season is a 5th place run at Darlington. They've just haven't found that little thing to push him up into being a consistent top 5 car. Ralph?
Well, Jamie McMurray in that 27 car, Alan, is pretty loose coming off the corner. That's one of the reasons why he's having a hard time holding on to the position right now. They're fairly happy with their strategy. They pitted on lap 39, took 4 tires and fuel. They think they can pit somewhere later on and maybe just take a splash of gas to get to the finish.
And McMurray again in 6th place in that 27 car. Still trying to fend off Kenny Wallace.
Ever see Ricky Hendrick in the 12th position? 59 car, Stacy Compton, he's running 13. Todd Bodine and Jack Sprague in the 24.
Not missing much up front. Still Riggs, Biffle, and Keller running 1, 2, 3, and got a little bit of a gap now on John Wood, the 4th place car, so that's all still static while we watch this good racing back in the pack. Jack Sprague was another driver who was hopping back and forth in the helicopter today. He ran the IROC race over at the big track. Checking back in on that 6th place race. Looks like Kenny finished the pass.
Oh,
no.
Contact. Is he going to save it? Yes, he did.
But Scott Wimmer hung the left and went by the both of them.
And I would almost bet that before we saw all that, there was some contact between the 48 and the 27.
That was kind of a payback, you think, maybe, huh?
He got in the gas pretty aggressively in the middle of the corner and pretty much went wherever Herman went.
Well, let's go back and see if we can document it.
All right, here we go.
Oh,
there we go.
Hello, neighbor.
That was coming off turn 4. And we'll watch them down by the start-finish line. They go down in turn 1. And
you notice he's going exactly where Kenny's going right here. Get the little blurb right there in the throttle, and thank you.
Watch Wimmer. Left turn. Goodbye. So McMurray back to 8th place now. Racing Johnny Sauter there in the 2 car for that spot. Just behind Behind them is Mike McLaughlin in the 18 who runs 10th. There's Mike. Now the top three into a little bit of lap traffic here. Riggs in that blue 10 car, and Greg Biffle.
That's the 77, Jimmy Kitchens. They go by him. Ooh, Biffle looks like he's coming on now.
I'm telling you, for a guy that's not very happy with his race car and trying to save it, he's running awful quick right now.
Kenny Wallace.
Quickest car that last lap.
He's wanting to get away from McMurray finally.
Yeah. Little motivation there. I'm not going to let you get close enough to do it again.
By the way, as we watch this, I'm told that Kerry Earnhardt has retired the Supercuts number 12 car with an engine problem.
That's a funny sound, wasn't it?
I think he has an exhaust leak. When they lift the flame out the exhaust pipe, and when he backs off the throttle, that's just a little bit of backfiring, I think.
Scott Wimmer in that 23 car. He's got it rolling here.
Boy, he does. He just went by Hornaday in one corner.
Wimmer was over at the Brickyard today, failed to qualify for the Winston Cup race tomorrow.
And I talked to Scott about that. He was disappointed, but he said, we made a lot of progress. They tested here a couple of weeks ago, and he said the car was, talking about the Brickyard, he said the car was just horrible. But they came back, and they worked on the car and got it much better. Failed to qualify. I said, if we just had been this good when we tested 2 weeks ago, then we had a chance to qualify for the Brickyard 400.
Scott tonight here at IRP started in 32nd place, and he has just moved into 5th. That's a great night's work.
Scott's one of those guys. I can remember testing the Winston Cup car at Darlington a couple years ago when Scott had just started with Bill Davis and went down there with the Busch car, and they asked me if I could come down and take his car for a lap, and they really weren't that happy with it. They put a set of stickers on. I only ran about 0.05 of a second faster than Scott did, and I think it was just a confidence thing. You've seen him the last couple of years, especially this year. He's really had some really good runs, and a guy that I expect to see in Winston Cup more often in the future.
And I think a guy that's going to win in the NASCAR Busch Series quickly.
Absolutely.
Race for 6th place here. Kenny Wallace.
I can promise you, making this pass, I would definitely not try that McMurray pass again.
Johnny Sauter, Jamie McMurray, 8th and 9th place. A little sheet metal there.
Now, Kenny Wallace can look up in the mirror. When he looks up, he got by Hornaday, so that's who he sees. But now he sees also the 2 car between him and McMurray. He says,
Heat's off.
maybe by the time I run around him again, the temper will have worn off.
Scott Riggs is the leader of the Kroger 200. We are past the halfway mark. Got 80 laps to go. You're watching NASCAR on TNT.